Season of mortality we call Lent. It's part one of a 5-part series that we're offering this year, this Sunday and the next 4 Sundays to follow. But first, a reminder to keep in your prayers our folks who went off to Condega. I've had a few pictures sent back to me from Ginger and the gang, crowded apparently in some sort of conveyance. I'm not sure what that is. It seems like they could, maybe it's a bus, but they all crowded into the selfie is all it is, but it looks uncomfortable. And then, of course, you all know that our fire department here in town has adopted their fire department there, and so we have a close connection with the folks down in Condega. There they are, waving pencils. Yay! I hope they're as excited as that. I hope it wasn't one of those forced shots where they said, "Okay, everybody, raise up your helmet." But I think it looks authentic. It looks good. So, and then there's Lent madness. And what about Noah and the ark? Julie, are you here? Yes, she is. Julie is going to watch and learn, and sadly what she's going to learn is I hate using Noah and the ark as a children's story, because this is what it devolves to.
Didn't a lot of people die in the flood?
Didn't a lot of people die in the flood, though? That's the problem with making it cute. Oh my God, everything's hunky-dory, the song celebrates. So rise, children, we just put the children in the ark out of the muddy. Well, no. If you were Noah's 3 sons and their wives and Noah's wife, you were okay. Otherwise,
You were goners.
so it's really just horrible. I'm sorry. It's horrible. But do it, Julie. You got to do it as a children's thing, because what else are you going to do with it?
Well, you can give me another lesson.
I cannot give you another lesson. My point of emphasis, though, is don't us read it like we're little kids. Partly because if we take the story at face value and read it like little kids, we grow up enough that we start looking around and saying, "Oh, that's terrible. What a terrible, terrible God that is." Because that's what you're left with if you're going to read it that way. It's all well and good if your kids to look at the animals and everything else, but don't read it that way as an adult. Read it the way it's in the book and take it at its own face value. Don't take it literally. Please don't take it literal, because that's not the point either. The point is, what does God resolve at the end of it? That's the sermon for later today. So pay attention to what the story tells us about God. But please don't read it like a kid. What? I just got to get it out there. But go ahead, do it with the kids today, because really, what else am I going to ask?
I will talk about the rainbow.
Talk about the rainbow. Yeah. All right, Being Mortal. This is our series for the next several weeks here. Being mortal. We're going to spend 3 weeks on being mortal explicitly, and then a related, though different, shift in the whole thing. We're going to talk about estate planning in week 4, and on week 5, some funeral planning. So that's the schedule looking ahead. Yes, sir.
Can we go back to the flood for a minute?
Sure.
I have a question. The whole world is flooded, right?
That's how the story goes, yeah.
And when the water recedes, where does it go?
Oh, see, that's a whole different cosmology, isn't it now? Well, you remember in creation, there's just water everywhere until God separates the water below from the water above.
Yeah.
And the dome in the sky separates the water above. So essentially what we hear in Noah's ark is God says, all the water from below just comes flooding. And it comes raining. And it just is it's a different cosmology.
That's better.
It's not a 21st century understanding of how things work. So, okay. We're using, and how many of you have read this book? I'm just curious. Quite a few of you. So we're using Atul Gawande's book, Being Mortal, partly. Mostly we're going to use the video. But I want them to talk to each other a little bit this morning as we go through this. Because I think they kind of need to. When I decided to do the video, I hadn't yet watched it. I was told it was good, and it is. But he'll say, Atul Gawande will say in the part that we're going to do this video over 3 weeks, because it's too long to do in 1 week. Even if I had started right on time and we went for 55 minutes, we don't have any time then to talk about it at all. And so I'm going to divide it into 3 sections, and we're going to do it chapter 1, chapter 2, chapter 3 the next 3 weeks. But one of the things Atul Gawande says today is there are the big unfixables, as he calls them, are aging and dying. And he says you can't fix those. And the thing is, the video is really about the dying part. And the book is much more about the aging part. It certainly allows for the dying part. That's absolutely part of it. But I find the video is just a little bit more limiting. And I'm not sure, or rather, I guess I should say, I'd like for us to be able to talk about the other part too. Okay? So I want us to talk about both the aging
Well, isn't
and the dying.
how we manage the aging part often determinable about how we manage the dying part?
Absolutely. Well, and I think that comes out clearly in the book. It doesn't come out so clearly if the video stands alone. That's all my point is, that the video really is about dying. And I think unless we do the aging component with the dying component, then it doesn't really have a whole lot to say to the rest of us who are living. And I want it to be about aging and dying, and in the meantime, the living. And I think the book does that more fulsomely for obvious reasons. It's not a 1 hour condensation of the topic. It's a whole book that you can spend some time with. So I just want to bring in some questions that I think come out of the book, not directly out of the video as we go through it. That's all I want to say. Okay? Fair enough? All right. Left open. Any immediate reactions before I maybe prompt you with some questions that or observations I made having watched this now a few times?
Just one initial thought is somebody who's, of a scientific, data-driven background, is that these doctors, they've got a lot of perspective, they've got a lot of knowledge, and these are very grave, grim cases. But I like the fact that they frame it with the possibility of hope, and that is always presented to the patient despite what they know the likely outcome is.
I do. I hear what you're saying, and they were very careful in that last conversation to put both out there. I think what Gawande is getting at is doctors who are always adamant that they can fix this are more inclined to keep offering hope and not as inclined to sort of lay out the reality. These are kind of exceptional conversations, is what his point is. But you're right, of course. I mean, we want to hold out hope when we can. He's sort of pushing us on the other side a little bit more. But I hear you. Yes, sir.
Last remark I heard, I thought it was the patient saying, "Don't go there."
The oncology nurse said that she looked in the wife's face as she was raising these questions about hospice and end of life and worst case scenarios, and what she read in the wife's face was, "Don't go there."
Yeah.
Okay, that's the arena where the rubber meets the road. When we say, "Don't go there," the question in my mind is, well, maybe that's where we need to go.
I think that's what he's
And
that's what
going
he's
there
saying.
anyway.
Well, and that gets personal for each and every one of us who, maybe encountering this kind of thing in our own lives or somebody else's lives, we're always hitting up against that don't go there stuff, and that's where fear kicks into gear, it seems to me. And so we don't. We want to play it safe, emotionally, relationally. Don't go there.
And part of what he's saying is doctors are human too. And for all the medical knowledge they have, they follow the same cues the rest of us do. Without really deciding they have to do something different. Now, I see a couple of other hands going out here. Let me go with Dick first.
Just quick,
Yeah.
I might have missed it, but when he said, give me a third option,
Yeah.
what was that about?
Well, I think the
I don't
oncology,
like the two
the
you gave
oncology
me.
nurse was saying, prepare for the worst, and the doctor is saying, let's hold out best hope scenarios. And he's saying, I think he's understanding that that's not realistic, so he's saying, give me a third option, and they're saying there is no third option. Either it's going to be you're the exception, or you're going to do what we think you're going to do, and you want something else, and there's nothing else.
That kind of brings up a point for me in terms of, are you ready when you get the bad news? And that's pretty important. I've seen some of that. Are you ready?
Yeah. Well, you deal with people in that situation more than most of us do, absolutely. Pat?
Well, I think it's really up to the physician to build that relationship from the very first day and to understand, have that, an understanding of how this person wants to get the message. When Peter had his second MRI and it was obvious nothing could be done, the oncologist was very forthright and said, okay, so bottom line, you want to know how long will you live? I mean, that was pretty stark.
Yeah.
And he said, depends how long you eat and drink. That was very stark, but he knew that was what, for that patient, that was good. There were no options. So it's really incumbent on that doctor to know the person, I think.
Well, that just reinforces how influential the doctors are in these cases. Because people, you don't want to go there, but if the doctor is making it easy for you to deny and not go there, by always having, this didn't work, but perhaps this other thing will, it really is very difficult not to follow that.
Well, in a lot of cases, the doctor is still learning. Dr. Gawande is still trying to understand how to get there and how to accept that for his patients. And it's, in our case, Greg and mine, he hadn't come to that. He couldn't even.
Your doctor?
He couldn't, right, the doctor.
Yeah.
And so it was, he had come to love Greg so much that he couldn't he couldn't get there.
Yeah.
And
He
so
was
he's
clutching at the
still
same
learning.
straws, wasn't he? Yeah.
And I think that's what this is all about, is Dr. Gawande also is trying to understand where that point is and how, we're human, we want to live and we want that patient to live.
I love the fact that he put in he had that sit down with the husband after the treatment. I mean, it's sometime afterwards, and he's able to just say out loud, "I lied to you."
Yeah.
And it's real easy for the husband to see why he lied. It's real easy for us to see why he lied. It makes perfect sense. And of course, as he's conceding, it was the wrong thing to do. But he wasn't emotionally equipped to do better. And so I thought that was just a lovely, lovely moment. And Kate.
Yeah.
I think the understandable discomfort of compassionate doctors feeds the pockets of the medical industrial complex.
There's that too.
Are you going to say
There's not
more
a
about that?
lot of incentive for physicians to withhold care. Yeah. Yeah, I mean, I'll offer prayers with somebody who wants to pray for a miracle every time. Because if I believe in honesty in prayers. If what you want is a miracle, then why would you pray for anything less? That said, there are times when offering hope for something else those are very helpful and important prayers to offer as well.
But the miracle can also be acceptance.
Well, that might be, yes, that's right. And healing, of course, at the end of the day, isn't the same as a cure. And wholeness, and you can die healthy, you can die whole. That's what we really hope for, is we die whole.
Yeah, we're all going to die. Yeah.
That's truer even than taxes. They say death and taxes, but the fact of the matter is, taxes can be evaded. At least for a time. Celine.
In the book, they talk a little bit more about Sarah's situation. And there was such a clear rejection of the possibility by all the different family members, which was understandable, I guess, due to her age. But I've often wondered if when they found the second cancer, if they had been a little more realistic, as he said, I lied, what quality time she would have had with the baby.
Well, and he does say that. It was kind of in passing, but that's really a point I wanted to come back to, is the question was asked, what did that cost us? And he thinks it cost, first of all, quality of life, but he also thinks that she was weak and such that when things turned south towards the end, it probably shortened her life as well. So it was quality and quantity both denied by aggressive medical treatments. And so it begs the questions, and we're going to wrap this up pretty quickly for today. Come back next week, we're going to carry on this conversation. So, but it begs the questions about such things as what are your values in life. I mean, I love what you and Peter and Peter's doctor all came to in terms of saying, what's value? I mean, that's what it comes down to in the book at great length. What do I value in life? And what would I, if I couldn't do it, what would make life not worth living?
And Peter did have the choice for how long to keep eating and drinking, which he was very cognitive of. And one day he just, so he got to live long enough for his family to all be there and spend days with him.
And those relationships are usually what people value in life. That's usually at the end of the thing that they value, the rest of the relationships. So whatever can support that gives them quality of life. Yeah. And one man in there said the last 3 weeks of his life were the best that he had, because of that. He had those relationships.
Just a little tease. We get his story in chapter 3 of our 3-part series. We have more of his story. We're going to, next week, I'll just give you a heads up. We're going to get, I think, what's a harder story in the middle part. But when we get to the end, I think we get a better story.
Great, that's when the women won't be here.
Sorry.
Oh, good.
So, okay. Any other final? Yes, ma'am.
Relationships. One of the things I saw on the screen that was true for me is that one person in a couple may be ready to hear something and the other person may not. And that becomes really a challenge both for the person who wants to know more but doesn't dare ask.
Yeah.
Doesn't dare ask anything where the person still can hear it because the data-driven person and head of a year, I wanted to know everything, and Bill didn't want to know anything when he was first diagnosed. So it presents an interesting problem for couples.
Absolutely. This is complicated stuff with lots of people involved, with lots of sometimes conflicting values. Medical values medical care values may be different than patient values, which may be different from loved ones' values. So yeah, absolutely. John, did you have something you want to add? Okay. I want to end on a real downer. One of the things I'm struck by is how many of the kids were 14. And they're various ages, but the number I kept seeing, or at least stuck out on the screen to me, was 14. Which, of course, makes it even harder to bear. Scott Weigel.
Noticed that, at least on the internet, one woman that they showed quite a bit, I guess out in the parking lot, had ashes on her forehead.
Yeah.
It just really struck me. Yeah.
A friend of mine on Facebook, Barb posted on Facebook something a bit inflammatory but provocative, I think, on Target yesterday. Barb, what was it you posted yesterday? It was something in praise of the martyrs. I mean, it's a bit sarcastic, but it's poignant.
Take a moment to honor the sacrifice of the school children who gave their lives to defend our right to bear arms. So flipping the usual.
Yeah. Okay. Sobering at the end. Sorry, but I think it's helpful for us to have our hearts broken a little bit today. So, thank you all.